I am.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I am, this is the Master Plan Implementation Committee, Thursday, October 5th, and I am calling the meeting to order. I'd just like to say hi to everybody. It's been a long summer and it's good to see you. So for tonight, I've sent out a draft agenda. After a snafu with last week, it's pretty much the same. I decided to put public comment at the beginning and the end to keep in line with our town policy, in case anybody shows up and wants to speak. So first, I'll see if there's anyone in the public.
I don't see any attendees at the moment.
No attendees. Okay.
I'll keep an eye.
All right, so our next order of business is to approve the minutes from May 5th and June 8th. And apologize, they were posted for a long time, realizing that you probably didn't go on and look at them. So I just sent them around a couple of days ago. Did you guys get a chance to look at them? Or would you like to look at them now?
Yeah, I actually didn't get a chance to look at them. I apologize.
I can share.
I'm happy to take
Wanna do it
anybody
now?
else.
We have a light
Sure.
agenda. I think we have, our big topic is a little farther down, but
Are you seeing May 5th on the screen?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
let me know when I can scroll down.
You need to make it bigger, or it's okay for me. It could be a little bit bigger. Okay.
that's fine with me anyway.
Okay, I'll stop moving.
Fortunately, the technology failed.
Oh, there you are. Hi, Will.
Uh,
We see you.
all I need is a microphone that'll cut out whenever I speak.
Oh, that would be ideal.
That's the self-editing feature. It's good to me so far.
Okay, I'm going to scroll down to number 3
Thanks.
and 4.
So I wasn't at that meeting.
You arrived at 8:30.
Oh, okay. So I didn't make the vote.
Good.
Yep.
Okay. You have to let me know when.
Looks okay to me.
Me too.
Yeah, I wasn't there, so I definitely wasn't there. So
So it really looks okay to you. Okay for me.
Okay, scrolling.
Okay for me.
Okay, scrolling.
Are there 15 more pages, Kat?
1, yeah. And another set of minutes.
Okay, to me, I'd capitalize planning board consistently, but not a big deal.
Was that an edit, Sam?
121 I saw, and I can't remember if it was anyplace else.
Did I?
Planning board needs to be capitalized.
And I'm ready to scroll.
Yep. For me, anyway.
I'm gonna make this edit board as capital B.
Yeah.
There's another select board and planning board in that same paragraph.
What was that?
Same paragraph, another select board and planning board not capitalized, where you just made that change.
Oh, thank you.
Okay for me there.
Okay, scrolling.
Okay for me.
Okay, scrolling. I'm gonna add an E to line 89, 189.
Good with me.
Me too.
I'll make a motion to approve should we just do one motion to approve both maybe?
Yeah. Let's do that. We'll bring
Yeah.
up the other ones.
Okay, are you
Um,
seeing my screen
oh,
now?
we have an abstain. Judith will you abstain, Judith, from this
Yeah.
one? Okay, let's do
Yeah.
them separately then. As I think you may have been at the next one. I can't recall.
Mhm.
I think so.
Okay, so
And-
Kat, McKee will make a motion to approve the draft minutes as amended from May 5th, 2023.
Second,
All in, any discussion?
Oh.
Hearing none, all in favor. Do I go first? Demiria, aye.
Stivers, aye.
Warren, I.
McKee, I.
And
Uh,
Watson
Watson
abstain.
Watson abstain, yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
great. So thank you, and then we
Thank you.
have- All right, so
Yep,
now we have
more.
June 8th.
So the next one is June 8th, yep.
I just put this note in here. I don't know how to actually document it, but feel free to suggest changes.
Oh, yeah.
Did we do roll call this time?
What is roll call?
We just
didn't
did
roll
roll call for the vote, didn't we?
For the vote,
Uh,
yeah.
Well, for the
not
vote,
to-
but when we start the
Open
Zoom,
the-
we do everyone's here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I might be here.
Do we do that on a hybrid meeting? I'm sorry, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If some of the, if the
I think we
members,
should do. I think
we
we
can
should
do
Do
it.
I say every member that's here?
Yeah, so basically how we do it is we just call out names and you just say you're here and it's recorded that you're here.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
shall we
how
do that?
used to do it at the conservation. I do the minutes first and then we can retro the roll call.
yeah,
Okay,
many committees do it alphabetically or chair first and everybody else in order of tenure on the committee kind of thing. So just make it easier to go
okay.
through.
All right, so we're gonna look at the minutes first then, right?
Can you see the minutes?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, good, because you would be looking at my email if you didn't.
Good size. Line 26, Demuria misspelled.
I'm sorry, Sam, what was that?
Line 26, Demuria misspelled.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, to me.
Yeah, good.
Good, I'm moving.
Yep. I actually thought you did a nice a job with this, Kat, especially since we're gonna be talking about that tonight, and it was good to have a refresher.
Cat always does a nice job with these. That's the price of being a good minutes taker is you get volunteered to take minutes.
We good to scroll down.
Yep. Okay to me.
Scrolling
Good with
down.
me.
Looks okay to me.
Okay, scrolling down.
Shorter. Thank you.
Okay.
Good.
Okay, would
I-
someone like to make a motion to approve the minutes of June 8th?
So moved
Second.
as amended.
Any discussion?
Did someone second? Was that Sam?
Seconded. Yep.
Sam, yeah.
For some reason, I'm having a volume. I can't hear you very well, Sam, so I apologize.
Sorry.
Okay, we'll take a vote. Demuria, aye.
Divers eye.
Watson, I.
Warren, I.
There are actually a number of really good ideas in these minutes. Unfortunately, we didn't do enough of them. So.
Yeah.
So, okay.
And Kat, I didn't hear you because I think you and Sam both said it at the same
Yeah.
time. If you just
Yeah.
repeat.
I.
Okay.
And I'm I.
Aye.
Aye. Yes, that brings me to the next topic. I have not done a good job, guys, of being your chair. There's a couple of things actually. And I spoke to a couple of you individually. It occurred to me, and maybe Judith, you help me understand this, that we did a organization, annual organization or whatever of the board when Lisa Braccio left. But we did not do another organization when Sam came on. So I think that I should have done an organization or annual election when all the present members for this fiscal year are present, and realize that I forgot that. And also, having said that, so that's the reason that it's on, but also I know that everybody's busy. I have to just apologize to everybody for, missing a lot of these deadlines we thought that we would try to meet. And I wanted to give the board an opportunity to talk about if anybody would like to step up to be chair, or maybe we create a vice chair. I'm not sure if we have one, or any, change in minute taker. So if we want to kind of discuss kind of throwing those up in the air, and if anybody wants to take on a different role.
Well, my feelings were certainly not hurt by failing to reorganize when I joined. So no
Oh, I
problem
thought
there.
maybe you'd want to be chair.
Problem there, but,
I think
Sorry, I actually thought that happened simultaneously. I thought it was Lisa left, so we needed a chair, which you was yourself, Debbie.
But then when Sam came
Sam
on,
was no, but Sam was the select board nominee when Lisa left. So
Right.
both events were triggered by Lisa leaving. I don't think there was actually a requirement
Lisa
for,
left before Sam came on, though. So we did not have all the members who may want to be in the roles.
but she'd already okay, but she'd
Yeah,
already
she vacated early in
Yeah.
April, I
Okay.
think.
So I
But,
don't think it matters.
okay, maybe I
We
don't
are
have
where
it.
we are. Yeah, we are where we are, and let's go forward. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
care about
So I
this
just
piece.
wanted to throw it out there to see if any interest in being chair, creating I think we're going to be busy this year, especially as we get into this next topic of trying to align priorities. And I know as chair, I could use a little help if I keep the role, and if anybody wants to be chair and, you know, or create a vice president, vice chair, or whatever we call it, that could be helpful too.
Mhm.
And just wanted to throw that out. And also, anybody wants to be the minute taker, although Kat's done a great job. I know that Kat is also very busy.
Yeah, and I'm happy to step down. I think Debbie had reached out and there might be opportunities if others are interested in that role. I would be okay just being a productive member.
Mhm. Well, Debbie, are you willing to continue as chair? That's one question.
Yeah, I am willing to continue. Yes.
Great.
I mean, the issue for me is simply, you know, it would be great if we could regain the momentum that we had earlier on somehow. And for example, Debbie, if you were to say, I just don't have the bandwidth to do it, then I think you look for other volunteers for it. But if you think you have the bandwidth to do it, I think that would be.
Okay.
Certainly
Yeah,
will.
no, I got very, very busy and some family stuff and some work stuff, but I feel like I do have the bandwidth now.
Good.
So I'd be happy to
I
remain.
mean, vice chair, again, interesting way to leverage capacity somehow. I mean, Judith, are you interested in doing something like that?
I mean, I guess it depends. Where
Do we need it? Judith, you do a lot with the documents and things anyway, so maybe we
Yeah,
don't. need it.
I mean,
Maybe you'd like to be the scribe.
I mean, in my other volunteer activities, the vice chair is person who's, so for example, I chair a local walks committee for the AMC, and I have a vice chair who's basically the person who at the end of the year, when I leave local walks and hikes, will become the chair. So
Mm.
But that's not the way it always works, Judith, I guess, in my experience here. Sometimes it certainly does, but I think part of the vice chair's role is, for example, the chair, you know, is busy and can't attend a meeting. The vice chair runs the meeting. Vice chair also works to support on follow-up kind of activities and to make sure things keep moving. So it's sort of a shared role there. But
Will, do you have any interest in it as well? Or the note taker or vice
You're on mute.
chair, or what do you think of a vice chair?
Will, you're on mute.
I'm actually the scribe for 2 committees right now, or the
There you
clerk. Right.
I know that. Yeah, don't get typecast here.
So, you know, if you need a vice chair, that'd be fine. I guess I'd rather not scribe for a 3rd committee at this time.
And Judith, would you be willing to take on the note taker role?
sure, yeah, I can do that. Yeah.
That'd be awesome. Does that sound okay? So, so back to vice chair. Do we think we need a vice chair, or can I just kind of rely on Will when I need a little help? I mean, should it be official?
I think it's helpful.
You know, if a vice chair gets to indulge in vice, yes. Otherwise, I think you could just, you know, depend on me when you need me.
What do you think, Sam?
I mean, again, having a vice chair makes it a little more official if the chair is not able to attend a meeting, for example. I mean, the structure typically is the vice chair, has the chair's powers on a temporary basis.
I don't know if
But-
you want to give Will power. I'm just kidding, Will.
Limited power. Yeah. Or
You're speaking from experience, Kat, I know.
reduced power. So I don't feel strongly. I think the big issue is how do we move forward effectively, and vice chair or not, I don't think that's going to make or break us. So
Yeah, vice chair would be fine, but I'm perfectly happy with, let's say, an informal vice chair rather than making it formal.
That's okay with me too. Okay,
Okay.
yeah, I think it's just, again, most important that, we have, the people to do the work. I know that I fell through the cracks. I hope everybody had a nice summer because I didn't see you at all. But if that sounds fine to me, that we will play a little bit of musical chairs. Now, we have to take a vote for each of these positions, I think. Is that
yep,
correct?
so- yep. Well, we can do it together. So I'll
Can we do
move.
it collectively? Yeah.
Yeah, I'll move that Debbie be elected chair, and Judith be elected scribe. And,
Second.
Will is in a standby position here.
Second,
Okay.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Debbie, aye.
Sam, I.
Judith, I.
Warren,
Yeah.
I.
I was trying to do it really fast so I wouldn't overtalk anybody. Nikki, I fine.
Unanimous, as they say. Good. Well, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay,
So we do need to do a roll call for the beginning of the meeting.
Oh,
roll call. Okay, after I called the meeting to order for tonight, I failed to do a roll call, so I'm going to do the roll call now. Demiria, all present. Demiria, aye.
Warren,
aye.
I.
Watson, I.
Pat McKee, I. You already go, Sam.
And Warren and Sam, I.
Sam, you have to say aye.
I
Um,
already we talked
Kai,
about each
is
other.
it okay with you if I take the minutes for the next meeting? I'm not really.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've got it.
do it
Yeah,
for
I'm
tonight.
doing it now. Yeah, that's good.
Okay, great.
I've got it all set up. Yep, yep.
I know your papers must be blowing away on that mountaintop, by the way.
Not that day, the wind was really mild.
That's Franconia Ridge, isn't it?
Yeah, we did it the 7th time. It was just the other weekend. It was amazing. Sorry for the interruption.
Okay, so next item on the agenda, we talked a long time ago in the spring about a communication to the boards and committees and departments. And thank you, Judith. Judith had put together a document that describes the overview of the master plan implementation committee, sort of the do's and don'ts, what we do and what the boards and committees do. And has everybody had a look at it, or should we flip through it? It's fairly short, I think, Judith, right? Maybe 5 or 6 pages.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
short.
no, you always do a nice job in pulling these things together. The idea behind it, and Kat, are you able to bring it up, or Judith?
I'm wondering, does anyone have access to it quickly? Because as the scribe for this one, I can try to bring it up. It's just a little tricky to share screens, take notes, and do. Let me just see.
Yeah,
As you
I'll-
circulated it.
I'll look for it also here.
Hold on.
I have it. Let me just see how. Okay, so share screen. Let me try it. Screen sharing.
At the very bottom, you'll
Yeah.
see a highlighted green. So you do that. And
So
then
it says host disabled participant screen sharing.
that's not true. I'm going to
Hmm.
make you a host.
Okay.
Well, let me make you a co-host because I don't know if I change hosts if I use something that I need.
Okay, so I'm a co-host now. All right, so let me
Okay.
just find this thing. Okay, so it's called Master Plan Implementation Planning Notes and Guidelines. So let me just see that I can bring it up without you seeing my ridiculous computer. Multiple panelists can share. One panelist. All right, hang on, let's see. And do I just go to the document?
Yeah, so if you hit share, what will happen is it's going to give you an option to pick the screen. So you want to pick if you have multiple screens. Or if you just have one screen, then it will just share screen and you should have that document up and it will
The
come up
document's
for us.
Open on your desktop, it'll show there.
So how many panelists can share? One panelist. Who can share? Host. Okay, I'm not making progress here. So yeah, obviously done this before, but desktop, okay. Allow Zoom to share your screen.
So I think I pulled it
That
up. Do you want me to
is
share it? Would that be
Scary.
helpful?
Okay. Yeah, I can't find the one where you just showed the one document. Yes, sorry. Do you have it?
Oh, no, that's okay.
Oh my
Is
gosh.
it coming up?
Okay,
Is
we
this the
probably
one?
have a lot of
Judith?
things open too. All right, thank you. So it's got our beautiful cover page. And so if you just want to zip through it. So this is meant to be, this was a simple exercise, but I didn't do it. So I'm going to get to it next week. And you can help me and let me know whether is there anything particular you want me to write in an email that will have this as an attachment. But this is basically, an understanding that we have some boards and committees where there's some new members for the fiscal year. And also just, it might still be kind of new since we spoke to most of our committees last year. I know for one, I'm still getting some questions. We have had a change in the EDC coordinator, so she's come to me. So I think something like this could be useful. So, I think, Judith has done a really nice job putting together these sections, and maybe Judith, you've even pulled them from other documents to put this together, but gives a little overview of what, what's the master plan implementation committee and
yeah, it's basically the kind of our own internal talking points that I think we were using when we first went to the committees. It's just that I updated some of it to reflect where we were. So it is an existing document, yeah.
Thank you. Can you scroll down to the next page, Kat?
Yes.
So that's sort of the, what we're responsible for and the different affinity groups. Quick how-to I think that's really nice for somebody just briefly taking a look at this. Kind of discusses that members of the MPIC committee will be meeting with them, and that goes into progress reports a little. I think we've attached the progress report at the end. And if you can just scroll down, Kat, I think it's just really maybe one more page. Oh, good. Is that a live link, Judith, to our website?
That was to the
to the master
master
plan.
plan. That's
Okay.
interesting, though. That's an
That's nice.
important link to have, but I'm wondering if it needs to just
I
like
think
we could put the link here and then make the MPIC the link to the website if you wanted.
Yeah, that would be a good idea. By the way, I have not looked at the our website since the transition. Maybe that's a topic for future. But have anybody taken a look at it, or Judith, any idea how it came over?
There were some issues with it when back in the spring. I worked with
Colleen?
Colleen.
Yeah.
I worked with Colleen to fix it. So just hang on a sec. Master plan.
Can you see it on my screen?
I can.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for bringing it up.
It's like
What I think is missing here is usually the master plan. Usually the committees have who the chair is at least on the cover page. That's how some of the others have worked. And then
the committee members right?
Well, that's
No,
a
I
good
don't
thing.
know.
They're not doing the committee members anymore. You have to
Okay.
go to this PDF and
Okay,
yeah, so that's the new approach. I personally disagree with it. I loved having the names here because it's beautiful and convenient.
Yeah,
But now they're
me too.
pointing us.
okay. On most recent agendas, does it dump you on the big page or does it go right to our little section?
That it did dump us right to this page. Yeah,
Oh, that's good, because
Yeah.
some of them are dumping you right to the top and you.
I've been struggling with that a little bit too, that navigation piece. Yeah. So I think one recommendation for is it whoever you're working with, I would put the chair here.
Okay,
If
Um,
if the committee agrees, I think it's a good thing.
I can follow up with Colleen on that.
thank
So
you.
should I go back to the document or what would you?
Yeah,
like?
if we go back to the document, one question I had is that the master plan committee is listed as dissolved, but I think if you click on it, there's still a lot of documents and things. I know that we purposefully left it, but do we think it would be better to come in through here or leave it as dissolved on the main page still? Because I just don't, yeah.
If we start moving the documents, we have to,
Oh.
I have to redo the master plan. That's why
Okay.
it's built like that, is so
Okay.
the documents, so there's the master plan, which is the hook, and then the documents are the original documents from the master plan committee.
Mhm.
Those are the ones that within the master plan, it takes you to it should do, I can go back and check, it takes you to those documents.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So
I like the
plan-
organization.
Yeah, the master plan should not be on the front page of boards and committees anymore, or if
It
it is,
is. It says,
No,
but
no.
dissolved, but it is.
but under boards and committees, is it listed?
You won't see it up here. Oh, it says it's
It's
dissolved.
there.
It's dissolved there.
It's
That
the
was
only
what,
one that says dissolve that's left up there, I think.
Except I like having the master plan on the list for somebody who's looking for the master plan. This is a way that they can find it. So if we don't take it, if we don't have it on this master list, then it's a lot harder for people to find. And I think it needs some visibility here.
Yeah.
Okay. And when you click on it, Kat, do you go right to the whole
Yeah.
You go to the
thing
dissolve page.
with the
Now, what
surveys?
would be helpful is if we could, on this page, then link to master plan implementation committee without having to go
Right.
back, but yeah, no need to change that. I
Right.
get pretty nitty.
that's
But that should
very
be easy to
easy
do.
to do. That's a really easy change.
And we should do that. That's a great idea. So this is what set the stage, and then ongoing,
Mm.
here's where you look for current activities.
And then back to that document, I think it
Where did it go?
goes, I think the last page is a copy of the progress report. I don't know if there's anything else after the best practices. Oh, yeah.
We were gonna change some of this.
That's one of the questions I had, and I can't remember if it had to do with priorities, or if anybody remembers if we were going to make a change on this. This is still the current one though, correct?
If you go back to the minutes, since the minute taker probably recorded it, so we can check the minutes to see what we were gonna change.
Okay. I mean, we don't expect the boards to fill this out. So I mean, as an appendix, I think it's fine, unless we have an updated version, want to swap it. I think it makes the point that this is the kind of information we're going to be collecting. So my plan then is, now that I'm back on track, is to, put a cover letter to email together with just a little bit of text to, introduce us to each of the boards and committees. I think we agreed that instead of just a blast to everybody, I think, just correct me, that it would be a little bit nicer to send it to each board and committee, kind of as like, just send again, but each one received.
Agreed. Yep.
And the
little more-
entire committee, yeah.
That way,
Well,
if somebody
the whole
responds, then we know.
The whole
Yeah.
committee, that's an awful lot of email. I thought we'd said
Happy
we'd
to
send it.
draft.
I thought we'd send it to the chair, and then it's the chair and explicitly ask the chair to circulate to his or her members.
Yeah, I thought that's where we left it also.
That's right.
As long as, I think we wanted to make sure that each of the members got it. So in any, as long as they get it, whether the chair circulates it or we do, I'm comfortable.
If we
with
do
that.
a follow, if it comes from Debbie to the chairs and copied the liaison, then each of us can then follow up with the chair and say, okay,
Right.
how would you like to progress, one-on-one, come to a meeting,
Or-
nominate someone else to be your point person. And at that point, that's where I would say, oh, and by the way, has everyone on the committee got that? Plus we can, ask for it to be formally tabled at one of their meetings so that they actually go through it. I mean, maybe that's something to put in your cover note, Debbie.
That's where I thought we were headed, Judith, in terms of the liaison asking to get on the agenda for their particular committees, just to at least
Yeah.
start with an overview and say, you got the material, and let's talk about where we envision it going next, and looking for feedback
Yeah.
from.
Because the thing is, different committees are at different stages. So Sam, some of the committees you're a liaison for, you may not have met them, but maybe Lisa has. Some,
Yep.
I've met 2 of mine, but I know the schools committee, because there was so many changes in the makeup of the committee. What's their name? Katura suggested we just wait till the fall before we kind of
Yep.
reconvene with them.
Right. Yeah,
But that's
they're
what
sort
I
of
would suggest we do, is then, because then we're putting the emphasis on the chair to lead on this, because they're the ones that have signed off on the recommendations for their own committees.
in theory,
Okay.
at least. Yes.
And Judith, are you still available to help me just kind of craft the email to make sure it has the points? I think I started it somewhere and got dropped.
Sure. Next week. Yeah.
Next week?
Yeah. Next week. Yeah.
Next week would be great. So I will send those out. Okay. Anybody have any other thoughts about this? This was supposed to happen a while ago, but I will send these out and copy the liaisons, and we can resume meeting with our boards and committees. And just on that note, it occurred to me that it's October somehow. And we agreed that we would be sending, instead of quarterly reports to the planning board, they requested for every 6 months. So we are at the point where we're, going to need to send them another report. So we talk about that. I think I have that as another spot on the agenda in terms of our member updates and any other business. But that is one thing I realized for any other business is we really should plan on sending planning board an updated report. But if we want to table that for now, I know a lot of us are like me. I really didn't get to speak to my my committees over the summer, so I'm kind of making up for time right now.
Didn't we send a report in June, Debbie? Wasn't there a report
I
in
actually
June?
thought it was April,
April?
so
Okay,
I have to
all right.
look.
Okay. I mean, it seems to me that a reasonable target is, December kind of time frame to give us a little chance to
We
circulate.
we sent the planning board a report on April 24th.
Okay. So
So
that,
do you
that-
want to
that-
get maybe into a December, July timeframe, since they asked for it twice a year?
that seems to me to be reasonable. Yeah. So that's more aligned with the fiscal year
Maybe
too.
maybe do December, June.
December,
Because
June,
then
End
we
of
get
June.
it in before the end of the
Fiscal year.
the fiscal year.
Okay,
So the
I'll give
end-
that as an
end-
update and see if they agree. I'm sure they'll let me know.
I'm just looking in the shared drive. The progress report that's in the document we were just looking at is the one that's in the shared drive. But I had this vague recollection that you did a different version, because with the drop downs.
Yeah, we
I
have to
took
make
it-
sure the drop downs are correct. And I remember doing that too, but if we put it on the drive, if you remember, the Google Drive strips the drop downs.
Oh, yeah,
out
yeah,
of the
yeah, yeah.
document. So we need to have a document kept locally. I will what I can do is I will check the minutes for the changes that we thought we wanted to make. Confirm the document is current, and I will recirculate it with the name of the document in the subject for easy searchability.
So I thought that we talked about maybe when just around the time either when Lisa was leaving or Sam coming on, that it could be useful to add another question
Yep.
to this
I remember.
report, and we could do this at another meeting.
Mhm.
And I thought it had something to do with whether they would need funding to accomplish any of their goals, which am I correct about that? It certainly ties into prioritization.
Well, number
But-
7, what additional support would your group accomplish its recommendations or overcome any challenges? And funding is listed in the example.
Right.
But to
Yep.
your point, I remember something too, and I don't recall exactly what it is, but I'm going to search the minutes to see if we can come up with something.
Okay, well, I'm glad to see that there because I mean, at least it's if something reading it and saying, yeah, we do need something, and I don't know what kind of help, but like, yes, I see funding. So, okay, but I'm okay to send this version because I can think that we might make changes to this as we go along and get used to it. Maybe there'll be another
Yeah.
question or consolidation.
Yeah.
But I think it's fit for purpose to send out.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good. Okay. Any other ideas or thoughts about this communication before we go to the next topic? Okay, so I'm going to go to topic 5. So this is kind of our big topic for tonight. I think this is the prioritization of goals, and Sam had brought this up. I think maybe the first meeting, actually, the one we were sitting outside. And the idea is that to align some of the goals of the master plan with the funding, I guess, in terms of what goals of the select board was doing back in July. I'm not quite saying that properly, Sam, but now it's past July. So I did want to get your thoughts on it. In terms of the next steps would be to have a joint meeting with, all 3 committees of our master plan implementation and planning and select board. So I wanted to, get your ideas about that, Sam. Is it too late? Is it still good? Because you've already set your goals.
I think that's useful. I think I did actually bring that up at a select board meeting, and I think I did it before the election. So we have a couple of new members now. But when I did it, everybody sort of nodded and said, that sounds like a good idea, given that the select board typically drives the money part of the process. And so having the ability to at least look at that, where that's headed, if there's momentum from the select board on certain goals, then it would be useful to sort of hook our sled to that, and where we can reasonably be consistent with that. And doesn't say we have to do everything there, but at least that to me is a good way to get demonstrable progress on things where there's money and other resources to support some of these things. And the issue of trying to align planning board and select board on certain goals, I think, is also pretty useful. And the struggle I always have is that we had 200 objectives or whatever, and 48 goals or something here, and the select board has like 28 goals now. And it is actually interesting. There's been interesting progress on a number of things on the select board goals already, which is encouraging. Much of which is not really a direct result of the select board's efforts, but we'll take credit for it, just like on the master plan. But a conversation between those 2 boards and us, I think, would be instructional for us to say, where do we think the focus is? And if there are particularly, I don't know what the number is, but 3, 4, 6, whatever things that everybody looks at and says, wow, this is important. For example, affordable housing has been a big push from the select board, and that's something that's in the master plan. So for me, that's pretty much a no-brainer. in terms of having that as a relatively high priority. And there's some things happening in that direction right now, and we're going to continue that, I think. So, and there may be, a handful of others that look like that, which I think would be very, very helpful for our purposes, at least selfishly, to advertise some and say, this is something that, everybody supports. Let's all work together to make some of these things happen. I don't know how many there are there, not 25 certainly, but I think that'd be a fruitful conversation to have between the three
Yeah,
boards.
and in the document I circulated, that was a document, Sam, that you had sent over to Judith. And you had sort of 4 main themes going for
Yes.
that document. I don't know if you actually gave it out at the select board or just spoke to it during the goal setting meeting. The first was increase housing diversity and affordability. That's what you just spoke about. The second being improve connectivity and accessibility. Some progress there too. Third was broaden and increase the tax base. And then the fourth was continue investment for strong schools. And then you had other notes under all of these with the different goals and
I really
recommendations.
not done anything on the schools piece since the select board doesn't directly influence that. But I can point to progress on those other 3, certainly. And I think we ought to recognize that and try to leverage it where we can. And certainly open to other things that might be, added to that, what I think of as primary focus list or something like that.
Yeah, I guess that was my question really for the other members of the board, is if, that seems to me a fine place to start, especially since there's progress already going in some of these. And I in terms of, priority, if it's a select board priority, and it's also on the master plan, it seems to me that that's a good way to, make sure first that the impacted boards, if understand that it's a priority, and also in a way make sure it's highlighted. I think at some point we ought to bring them into the loop. For example, Sam, the one about I know I'm not making much sense, but what I'm trying to say is, so for example, increase the tax base. So obviously there's a bunch in there for EDC. I don't know if they know that this is going on, right? So perhaps at some point we invite them to the joint meeting so that they can maybe, hear the conversation.
Yeah, they do know what's going on, and they are actually doing some useful things there. They've got some grant money to investigate bringing wastewater capacity to Route 9, which to me is a key to generate more commercial tax revenue. So I think, we're not actually at the point of actually doing anything there yet, but we're certainly working on it.
Mhm.
So I think that's a natural tie-in. And Debbie, I was going to suggest, I don't think that I've circulated the output from the select board goal setting process back in June or July. So I can send that around to let people take a look at that and sort of see where we're headed from that direction. And
Yeah, that would be
Debbie,
good.
I think
Are these documents that we would want to share at a joint meeting?
Well, certainly we could talk about it at joint meeting. Select board is familiar with it. I don't think they've been widely circulated. They've been basically published as part of select board agendas, so they're public documents, certainly. And it would be useful for the planning board to see that. And also I was going to comment, I think I've attended most of the planning board meetings over the last 6 months to a year. And I've not heard the planning board actually talk about prioritizing goals out of the master plan. And I'd be pretty interested in understanding, does the planning board have any thoughts about, out of the 40 whatever goals here, what's the planning board primarily interested in seeing happen?
Yeah, on that note, I have a note to follow up with, probably the chair and town planner on the planning board goals that I haven't done yet.
But that would, again, to me, is a conversation among the planning board members. And it would be interesting to compare that against the select board's goals and see, if there overlaps there, and we can work together to push on that. So,
yeah,
yes.
Can I ask a quick question for the 4 key themes? Because I heard the increased tax base, but I went back to our 6-8 minutes because I'd missed something to grab the 4 key themes, and I didn't get that in there. So I'm just curious if maybe commercial diversification and development. I mean, so the 4 that I had from the minutes before was the housing diversity and affordability, commercial diversity and development, accessibility, connectivity, and schools. So how does that change out of this list? That we
yeah. So those headers are just a little bit different than the sort of the pre-goal setting one
Yeah.
that I got from Sam, but maybe the one after goal setting, Sam, would be a better one.
Yeah, I guess feel strongly about how we
Well,
described it.
I would just like to represent correctly in the minutes what you'd like me to say. So
Okay, and I think we may have to, I'm speaking about this document that I circulated to you, so we'll probably have to include it in the minutes. And the document is called MPIC Priority Overview, and the date on it was 6/11/23, and I believe that was right before the goal setting meeting, so things could have been changed, but the titles, the headers were
Found it.
increase housing diversity and affordability. Kat,
I
you
found
got that one, right?
Yep, now I got it. Good, thank you.
Improve
use that.
connectivity, accessibility.
Yep.
Broaden, increase the tax base, continue investments for strong schools.
Yep, got it.
Okay, so I think there's two things to do here. In addition, I have to follow up with the planning department on the goals and the planning board. But we do need to find a date. I think, Sam, that the next couple of planning board meetings were not available for the select board. So I think you recommended to me to go through, was it Mark Purple, to try to find a suitable date. I think we'll have to find an original date that's not a planning board meeting already, maybe one of our meetings,
Or maybe have a special meeting for both boards.
special meeting. Yeah.
And select board has done that for special topics.
That's a good
So-
idea. That way you're not crunched for time and you're just focused. I
And
like
the other issue, Debbie, is budget season is now coming fast.
Yeah, you're
and,
in there quick.
You don't want to get caught in the middle of that one if you can avoid it. So
Okay, and by coming fast, is it like right now or is it November or
and November
does it start?
probably, November, December really ramps up, I think.
Okay, so we really need
So-
to look for a date as soon as possible.
And again, my suggestion is that if we pitch it as a single purpose, time limited conversation, so let's find a time when we get 60 minutes, 90 minutes at most. I don't think people have a lot of appetite for spending, 4 hours grinding through this stuff. And if
Right.
it's well moderated, I think we can get through in 60, 90 minutes kind of thing. For both
Okay,
boards.
what documents would we use at the meeting? So that is, that's a question I wanted to ask.
Master plan goals would be one context piece for the select board, certainly. I think
Okay.
planning board. And then the select board goals would be, I think, useful for the planning board to see. And then I think, I always find that these kind of meetings are most productive when you have some specific target to start with, at least. So as opposed to, let's all sit around the table and talk about what we think here in a sort of open way versus here's a proposal. And this committee is not necessarily tasked with setting priorities, but I think we could reasonably argue, and Debbie, if you get any feedback from the planning board in the near term here on it, we know what the select board thinks generally in terms of goals. And so if we come out to start with and say a proposed structure, here are the things that we believe people have said are important to them as a starting point for discussion, and then let the conversation flow off of that as a representative of what folks have talked about publicly, at least for some of these objectives.
Okay. Is there anything that we can do with creating, I don't know if you've done this, Judith, I think you have done this, where you've taken the select board goals and in a table and put them on top of master plan goals, at least so we can see where the synergy is. I recall that you did that for one of the versions of
I
something.
did that with the last lot of select board goals. Yeah. The ones
Last
from
year,
20, the ones from
22.
last year.
22 or recent, this for 23.
No, they weren't for 23. Well,
For 23 fiscal year 24, Sam? Because you
That's
just
what
voted on them, right?
We had our planning session in July or whatever of this year. So there are goals from that. Yeah, I
It
don't
wouldn't
think you.
be
want to
this
go
year.
through.
No. The ones I took were the ones from fiscal 23.
Which was
You've now
22.
got ones from fiscal 24, yeah?
Correct. Yes, that's right.
Judith, would you have the bandwidth to help with that? To, what do we replace then? Replace the fiscal 23s with the fiscal 24? Then, as I thought it was a really great chart that you developed, and it's sort of an easy way to see where the overlap is between the two.
That could be a good starting point, but again, Debbie, that's sort of taking, driving more from the select board's view. And to my knowledge, the planning board has not had an exercise where they've taken all, 50 or whatever the goals out of the master plan are and say, here's our priority. So planning board might be a little sensitive about the select board driving that process as the planning
Yeah.
board is.
I'll talk to the chair. It's something that's not been on our agenda like that. Although we've, yeah, I'll take that as a follow-up.
You might suggest that to Mimi and say, here's a starting point that we can use. And if she says, no, we want to put our own spin on this, which would be fine. We could do both actually. And that would, again, to me, that would be a good way to start the conversation. Say, here's what we've said publicly about this. Now, do we want to update it, modify, etc.?
Okay.
And
Yeah,
to
so
me,
Sam, are you thinking that, let me see if I can. You've got select board goals. You're thinking that the planning board should do that same exercise.
similar,
and
that's right, at least at the
We'll
high
kind
level.
of look at them together and see where the synergy is, where the overlap is, and are there any gaps that we think might need to be addressed?
Yes, and mapping both of those against the master plan goals as you've done
Yeah.
previously. All three are aligned. And again, I don't think that's necessarily the final answer here, but I think that'd be a great starting point for the discussion. Say, here's what we all look like independently here in some sense. And there are clear overlaps, and there are some places where there's some inconsistencies. And do we care about it or not? And the other thing that I would suggest is having, for this joint meeting, a clear endpoint defined, or at least as a starting conversation. What do we want to get out of it? And one example might be, we want a list of 6 things that we're all perfectly aligned on, or very well aligned on, that we can drive for through FY24 and beyond for planning purposes. And what's the number, or what types of goals, and so maybe some conversation about how we're going to measure success or not against those, and make it as tangible as we can for people that we can then feed back into the various committees. We're never going to get all 50. And a lot of good things are going to happen totally independent of whatever we do. But it would be great if we can add our motive power to things that both boards care a lot about.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay, any other thoughts on this?
Have people seen the latest select board goals? Should I send those around?
Are
That'd
those
be
getting
nice.
publicized in any way, Sam, to the town?
They've been on the agenda for several select board meetings at least, but I
So
don't
they're
know
in the
that-
packet, yeah.
They've been in packets,
They're-
but I don't know.
I think that I haven't got them. If you can send them around, I'm just
I'll
thinking
send
no.
them around.
Yeah,
Oh, I
that'd be
have-
great.
Then I haven't. No,
Yeah.
I'm just looking, but no, I don't.
A number of them from last year as well there, but a few new ones. So.
Okay, we'll take that as an action for Sam to send those around. That would be great. Yeah, they are in the packets, but there's the sort of thing I haven't saved them, so it'd be nice just to have it in our folder. Okay. Okay, so scheduling the meeting. So I'll take that action too. And I don't know the best approach, but I guess talk to Mark Purple and town planner and see what we can do to find a date in the next couple weeks, if possible, before things kick off.
And what I will do is I will try to weasel in a mention of this at next week's select board meeting and just say we're talking about it. Prep them and with the concept of, what I'll tell them is I want to schedule a full day meeting between the two boards. And then when you come in with an hour, they'll feel very, very relieved. So.
Yeah, that sounds good. Okay,
manage
yeah. Thank you. Okay, anything else on this one? All right, I think this is our big topic. Thank you. So we'll get back on the saddle, I guess, or whatever with this and get moving. It'll be kind of fun, I think, to hear the different opinions of everybody. All right, I did put member updates on there in case anybody has anything they want to share. In the beginning, when we didn't have a lot to do, we went around the table and everybody gave updates. Now we're doing reports. So, and reports have been great. I have not kept up, so I can tell you, just FYI also, I have been in touch with from mine for EDC. Obviously, our other previous coordinator, Claire Reynolds, the interim, has stepped down, and Leah, sorry, I can't think of her last name. Leah has come on as the EDC coordinator, and she has informed me that they will be speaking about their goals at their next meeting, which is I believe it's on the 12th. And they are trying, or have been putting their meetings in the evening hours, whereas they used to have them more in the mornings. And so I hope to sort of pick up the pieces and, you know, I guess for my part with planning and EDC, I'll have more of an update for you guys for next time. Is anybody else had the opportunity to meet? Yeah.
So sorry, Debbie, we spent quite a lot of time with Claire going through. She had a document. Do you know if that ever went to the EDC, or are they kind of back at the?
They're back at the beginning. Leah was not really aware where that document was, so I told her I would, you know, send it over to her and sit down with her and meet with her and go through things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's Leah Emerson.
Leah,
Yes.
Emerson, yeah, I just.
Thank you.
got clear
Yes.
on this. Thank you.
Very convenient. She's in the, I believe her office is right next to Colleen in the planning department. So I can just spend the day there. But does anybody have anything that they want to share from working with their committees, or concern about not having time to talk to their committees? That was one of
I'm
my
a little
think-
bit in that camp, but I will make it attempt to reach out to folks. And I think it will be a coordinated effort with the blast, the email blast, or maybe it seems like, because we have to
Probably-
reach out to them after you send the draft,
Yeah.
the outline of what our communication points are, and then we follow up with them. So this will be, we can do that right after. So
that'll be good. Yeah, that's the easy
I
way
think
to
that's the
do
right
it.
right sequence. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just sort of general high level comments on a couple of things. One of the things that I think we are making some progress on that is aligned with some of these goals is the affordable housing business. And we've actually been successful at getting some CPC money transferred into the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. We're talking about organizing the Affordable Housing Trust Fund Committee, which has been historically basically the select board plus a couple of people, and has done relatively little over the last 10 or 20 years. And so we've got money there, and there are some projects that are floating around that we may be able to get moving. Nothing firm yet, but there's some interesting things that are happening. And I think the biggest news in some ways in terms of some of this stuff is in the planning board world with this MBTA communities thing that is generating a lot of interest, public forum, back pressure, et cetera. And again, that's one that I think would be helpful for us to try to find ways to coordinate with going forward, because there's going to be a fair amount of energy and effort around that and a lot of public outreach. So tying that in some to, I think there are a number of master plan goals that are related to that. So I think that would be a good piece of momentum to hook onto in some ways.
Yeah, and for anybody who hasn't gone to the forum, and I know of course, Sam, you have, thank you for coming to both of them. There's been quite a lot of interest, more interest than we thought, which was really nice. In fact, too many people in the public safety room. We found out that.
is that why the notice went out that there's a cap on the?
Yes.
First one was standing room
That's
only.
a quality problem.
Yeah.
But I think the thing that really struck me, Debbie, about both those meetings is there is so much misinformation about what the requirements are from the state.
Yeah.
And it is somewhat complicated, but people, and the real danger, I think, is this is one of those that is extremely easy for the rabble rousers to incite the crowds and, start with the flamethrower speeches that, oh my God, we're going to have, the Chicago Section 8 housing all over town kind of stuff. And people who come to town meeting who haven't gotten informed about it immediately sort of take up the sword and go crazy. And so I think there is great need for consistent communication about what's happening, what we can do, what we have to do, et cetera, and talking about the alternatives if we don't do. One of the active discussions at the planning board forums was, how can we get around this? And the answer is, it's hard to do that, and we probably don't want to do it. But I think having those discussions in advance of town meeting is critical in terms of getting town meeting support for this. And so I think that somehow this committee's work on some of the housing goals, together with both the planning board and the select board and SHOPSI and Affordable Housing Trust Fund and others, to put out a consistent message on this to get something useful accomplished, I think could be a huge accomplishment for us collectively. And frankly, if I could pick one, this would be really high on my list. If we can do a decent job with this over the next year, I think that saves us a huge amount of pain and trouble, as opposed to having it blow up, which only has real downside, I think, in many ways. So anyway, that kind of conversation I'd like to have with the planning board and select board and see if they agree or disagree.
Yeah, that's really good. Those are really good thoughts. And just 2 points that the planning board, of course, is planning to comply. So it is unfortunate that we have, members on boards and committees who get up at meetings and talk about, fighting, and we're going to fight back, and we're going to, what about suing? How much would that cost if we sued the state? And planning board has absolutely nothing to do with that. We fully intend to comply with the law. So that's the first thing. And the other thing is, yes, and we have to help people to understand what this is all about, because, we need to try to get it passed at town meeting. And the obvious question is, what happens if it doesn't pass? Well, I guess we're looking at a special town meeting. So that's no fun. So we really would like to do it the first time. But what we found from the last time, and it'd be great if you guys, and the others on the committee, have time to come to our next, forums, is what we found is, really people gravitated toward looking at the maps, and, started to put up a couple of maps. There are some properties, some lands that are not included, that are, not buildable, obviously open space and other, parts around town. And, and planning board is not planning on right now, kind of picking, hey, what about over here? What about over here? We're still trying to take in information, because we definitely don't want to bias or steer anything. We do feel like we need to hear a little bit more. So if at a minimum, if you guys can help get the word out, that would be really great. I agree with you, Sam. I think that, we probably have never had anything in our town that has brought, so much attention to affordable housing that I know of in the last 30 years. And so if there's an opportunity to meet our goal and get the MPCT Community Act passed, and accomplish anything else having to do with our master plan goals, I think we should try, to really leverage people getting together in a room and understanding, what this could mean and why it's a goal.
Just to clarify, Debbie, I've not heard any town board or committee members saying we shouldn't do this and let's fight it, kind of thing. There were a lot of comments at the meeting, but by residents. Basically, I mean, there was the expected, I moved to Southborough because it has residential zoning, 1 acre minimum, or that's what I want and I don't want to change it. And you expect that kind of feedback from people. But
Yeah.
I think that's all part of the education process. And I
Well,
think,
when we had the discussion on 21 Highland Street, and then, we got a little bit into MBT communities and the density and whether that property could be used. I know we're going off track, but there was a member of advisory who was really looking to see what would it take to push back against the state, and planning board's just not there. Yeah, we're not going there.
I don't think I was
Um,
arguing.
yeah.
Anyway. So,
Big
big issue. And again, let's try to get aligned with something like that. I think that could be helpful.
Okay. Okay, so one other question I have is does this tie into the one-stop grant or any of the grants, trying to, in terms of prioritizing, trying to also consolidate the town requests for different monies that might be available? Is that anything we have to worry about on this committee?
I mean, I guess I think we drive from what we want to do and then look for money. And, we have a grant consultant that we talk with periodically. And one of the questions we ask her is sort of flip it around, what money is out there? And, does it make sense if you've got a no-brainer grant that everybody gets? Maybe it makes sense to apply for it if it's something that we at least care moderately about. I mean, sadly, that's the kind of process that you can make crazy decisions. Like we got our float hydroplane boat or something a number of years ago that was a total disaster because it was a great bargain. So that wound up being a maintenance nightmare, and we finally gave it away to somebody. But you don't want to do things like that just because the money's there. On the other hand, if there are grants that are easy to get and they're at least moderately consistent with what kind of goals we have, I don't mind going after the money. But I first want to know clearly what we want high priority, and then telling the consultant, help us find money for this.
That makes sense. Okay, good. Anybody else have anything on this topic? Or member updates? Anything you want to share?
No, thank you.
How about we schedule the next meeting? Should we
Sounds
look at
good.
our calendars? So Thursday nights seem to be good nights for all of us. Does 6:30 work, or do you guys prefer 7? I kind of like 6:30, but I could go either way.
6:30 is fine. Is there any movement towards a morning meeting?
Floor outside.
That's tougher for me, actually,
Tough
but
for me.
Okay,
could do it.
all right.
If everybody wants it,
6:30 is as early as I can go, but 7 is ideal, but I can continue to work with 6:30 p.m.
6:30 p.m. it is then.
Okay, should we look at the calendar? What do you think about like 2 weeks?
So that would be
Maybe
the
3 weeks?
19th.
18.
maybe
Either
3.
the 19th or the 26th?
The
Right.
26th might give us a little more time to get in touch, to send out the email, get in touch with our people and get updates. It might
Yeah.
still be tight depending on when the email goes out, but I would think the 26th is better than the 19th for success.
Okay, and remember
26
there'll be
sounds good.
another, oh, I'm sorry, Will?
26 sounds good.
The 26th is good for me too. How is it for you, Judith and Sam?
Yeah, I can do it.
Works for me.
So the 26th at 6:30 p.m. will be our next meeting then.
Right.
And I will start the process of looking for some time for a joint meeting with Select Board, Planning Board, and our committee. And hopefully in October, if we can try to get that to work. I don't know, I'll try. Probably 90 minutes, I'm thinking, Sam. Realistically, 60 goes really quickly.
Okay.
60 to
90
90
would be-
minutes.
90 would be welcome for both select board and planning board, I think, given their average meeting times.
I know. I know. You're right about that. Any other business? Any future topics?
I think we have enough to chew
Did
on here.
we have any other website topics you had mentioned, or were we good on that for future topics?
So I know that Judith is going to what are you gonna do? Try to make the connection between the master plan dissolved and the master plan implementation to connect it to. And Judith, will you ask them to put my name as chair, or would
Yeah.
you like me to do that
No, I
with
can do that. I can
IT?
do that, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I think we should all take a look at it too, to see, maybe there's some information, but if we need to put anything out there, but I guess it's minimal right now and that seems okay. Hang on one sec.
You just double check that they didn't make a broad decision to take all the chairs off of just in case.
I've not heard about that. They did make a decision not to add all the committee members, which I disagreed with, but
I totally disagree with that.
However, if I'm not mistaken, they did add the committee member email addresses to the
To that
PDF.
fixed PDF that you
Yes.
can click on.
and the
Yeah.
email addresses are
Yeah.
in the individual committee listings too. So you can find.
Where's
each
the
of
individual committee listings, Sam?
You talking about the
boards and-
staff directory?
No, the boards and committees thing. Let me just look here, and you can
Yeah, so
actually.
Trail still
Yeah.
has chair listed. Sorry, Sam, go ahead.
So we mean, it
You-
says the chair and then, but you can click on something and you get everybody's email. That's a member, but it doesn't have their name.
Yeah, let me show you.
You go to
Okay.
boards and committees,
Interesting.
then it
Yeah.
says, click here for a listing of all board and committee members.
Yeah, so I got click here for list of all boards, and then this
You
is.
click
you can
there.
say
Oh.
Click here, PDF comes
Okay.
up, and these are clickable links, so when you click on them,
Oh, that's good.
they will open up an email, so that is positive.
That is very nice. The last one
Yep.
was Excel, right? That looks better.
Well, the old one, you could click directly on the town website page, but
Yeah,
again, you
that
can get the information. It's just more navigation, which I'm not a fan of, but
Yeah,
at least.
But at least they added the email, so that's good.
Yep.
So,
Okay, well, if anybody thinks of other topics, let me know. Otherwise, I think we will move to adjourn. That sound
Second.
good? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
You moved and I seconded.
who moved? Debbie?
Debbie.
I guess I did. Any discussion? Hearing none. The meeting is adjourned.
We
wait.
need a
roll
roll
call.
call vote too.
Roll call vote. Demiria, yes.
Divers, yes.
Watson, yes.
McKee, yes.
Warren, yes.
Okay, that's the order then. You know, every time you look different on the screen, I never know the order, so, okay.
That's why
Now
you
we
need
have an order.
alphabetical or something, so. Except Kat shows up as town of Southborough, so that's very confusing.
Ah, because she
Started the
She's a-
Zoom.
she signed in for me. She's facilitating for me tonight, which I
driver.
greatly appreciate.
Yeah, I'm always happy to.
Yeah.
Okay,
Great.
Okay, thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
goodbye.
Bye.
Have a good evening. Bye-bye.